Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Refuge from Narcissism, and this refugee video is sponsored by contribution from Tanya. And Tanya's done a bunch of videos with us in the past about her family, but this is an article from the New York Times she sent me that she wanted to get my opinion on. And it's about an actress named Jeanette McCurdy. And I know her because she was on a show called iCarly that was on either Nickelodeon. Yeah, was it Nick? It was Nickelodeon. And I know the show because Erin loved the show. So we used to watch a lot of it, me and Erin together, and Erin and Charlene would watch it. She loved the show. So I knew this girl, and I remember while even watching that show. Okay, that's when I first started to. It was like those shows, like Zack and Cody, iCarly. There was never a father. There were no fathers anywhere, and they would put these girls in situations where they were being sexualized, and it was like and I would say to Charlene, you see that? Like, is that my crazy? I'm like, what is? So she sent me this article from the New York Times, and the title of the article, or her memoir, is okay. Jeanette McCurdy is ready to move forward and look back. In her memoir, I'm glad my mom died. McCurdy, best known for her role in iCarly, reflects on her time as a child actor and her troubled relationship with her mother. Okay, so this is a recent article. This is from like August 3rd, so it's only like 2 weeks ago. When Jeanette McCurdy was 16, she was in her third year on iCarly, the hit teen sitcom on Nickelodeon. Millions of young viewers admired her for her comic portrayal of Sam Puckett, the wisecracking pal of its title character, and she was proud that her lucrative work was helping to support her family. McCurdy was also living under the stringent control of her mother, Deborah, who oversaw her career, determined her meals. Her dinners consisted of shredded pieces of low-cal bologna and lettuce sprayed with dressing, even administered her showers. Her mother gave her breast and... Here we go. Her mother gave her breast and vaginal exams, which she said were inspections for cancer. She shaved her daughter's legs while McCurdy remained largely uneducated about the changes her body was experiencing. She struggled with obsessive compulsive disorder, eating disorders, and anxiety triggered by the constant attention she received as a celebrity, but she felt trapped in her work. She also believed she owed her unflattering loyalty to her mother, who recovered from breast cancer when Jeanette was very young, only for her cancer to return in 2010 at the height of her daughter's fame. Deborah McCurdy died in 2013, and Jeanette, now 30, still reckoning with the gravitational pull exerted by her mother, who steered her to the trade that, given her visibility and financial stability while she controlled virtually every aspect of her daughter's existence. While Jeanette McCurdy wrote a memoir, which Simon & Schuster will publish on August 9th, it was clear to her that her relationship with her mother would provide its narrative force. It's the heartbeat of my life, she said recently. The book is titled, I'm Glad My Mom Died, and its cover bears the image of McCurdy, a narrow half smile on her face, holding a pink funeral urn with confetti strands peeking over its rims. I like it. The presentation might be off-putting to some readers, not many here. The author is well aware, but she also feels it accurately encapsulates a coming-of-age story that is alternatively harrowing and mordantly funny. When you have grown up, as she has, feeling tenderness and anger toward a person you've seen wield immense power while fighting for her own life, she said, you can't believe how hard and how laughable it is at the same time. That's completely my sense of humor. I don't feel like I've done the processing and put in the work to earn a title or a thought that feels provocative, she added. Though McCurdy may have the resume of a seasoned Hollywood veteran, she carried herself like a wide-eyed tourist on visit to New York in late June. Over afternoon tea at the BG restaurant in Midtown Manhattan, she gazed at fellow patrons, asked for Broadway theater recommendations, and chided herself about a transcendental meditation class she'd taken near her home in Los Angeles. So far, I haven't seen any results, she said with a chuckle, but we'll see. When it comes to new endeavors, McCurdy said, I think things should feel natural. So much of my life was about forcing or pushing things. So when something feels like it's working, I'll let that be, and anything else can fall by the wayside. As McCurdy recounts in her memoir, she was 6 when she started auditioning for acting roles, having been shepherded into the work by her mother, who was herself discouraged from becoming an actress by her own parents. Growing up in Southern California, McCurdy was cast in TV commercials and shows like Mad TV, Malcolm in the Middle, and CSI before landing iCarly, which had its debut in 2007. She never had any illusions about who was really benefiting from these accomplishments. As she writes of the moment she learned she had booked iCarly, everything's going to be better, Mom will finally be happy. Her dreams have come true. This is what they do to you. McCurdy endured various embarrassments and indignities at Nickelodeon, where she writes of being photographed in a bikini at a wardrobe fitting and being encouraged to drink alcohol by an intimidating figure she simply calls the creator. In situations where her mother was present, Deborah did not intervene or speak up, instructing Jeanette that this was the price of showbiz success. Everyone wants what you have, she would tell her daughter. And the creator, I can't remember his name, but his name is all over the place. Okay, the guy's a can't say that G word anymore, huh? We know what he is. This is where we're at, people. This is where we're at. Where pedophiles are a protected class. Saying the word groomer can get you kicked off. That's where we are. When McCurdy was promised an iCarly spinoff, she assumed she'd be given her own show, only to receive a co-starring slot on Sam and Cat, which she was paired with future pop music sensation Ariana Grande. There she says her superiors on these shows prevented her from pursuing career opportunities outside the show, while Grande thrived in her extracurricular work. Yeah, because Ariana Grande is a little hoe bag. Ariana Grande had no problem being a little hoe bag. Ariana Grande had no problem leaking her own naked pictures out at 17. As McCurdy writes, what finally undid me was when Ariana came whistle toning in with excitement because she had spent the previous evening playing charade at Tom Hanks' house. Tom Hanks again, huh? Huh? Remember Tom Hanks when Ricky Gervais called them all a bunch of Epstein Island pedos? He was like, greatest 10 minutes you'll ever watch. Go watch Ricky Gervais and what was it? Won the Oscars with the Golden Globes. Epic, 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 epic. That was the moment I broke. McCurdy as Sam. Oh, wait, hold on. As McCurdy grew older and more independent, her relationship with her mother became further strained. The book reproduces an email in which her mother calls her a slut, a floozy, and an ugly monster, then concludes with a request for money for a refrigerator. When Deborah had a reoccurrence of cancer and died, Jeanette, then 21, was liberated and left to navigate a complex world without her guidance, contending with destructive romantic relationships, bulimia, anorexia, and alcohol abuse. iCarly ended its original run in 2012, and Sam and Cat ran just one season from 2013 to 2014, after which McCurdy writes she turned down a $300,000 offer from Nickelodeon if she agreed never to speak publicly about her experiences at the network. A press representative for Nickelodeon declined to comment. Didn't deny it, declined to comment. She was free to reclaim her personal life and pursue other projects like the Netflix science fiction series Between. But she found it difficult to let go of the resentment from how she had been treated when she was younger. And as she said in an interview, I felt like all these decisions were being made on my behalf, and I was the last one to know about them. That's really infuriating. It led to a lot of rage. Even now, McCurdy found that revisiting the era of her child stardom resurfaced raw feelings about a parent and an industry that had failed to protect her. They flat out exploited her. It wasn't a failure to protect. It was a desire to exploit and abuse. See, that's what she has to come to the realization. They didn't fail to protect you. They flat out exploited you. Big difference. For personal gain and sexual satisfaction. My whole childhood and adolescence were very exploited. Okay, so she said with her eyes brimming with tears. It still gives my nervous system a reaction to say it, and there were cases where people had the best intentions and maybe didn't know what they were doing, and also cases where they did. They knew exactly what they were doing. Marcus McCurdy, the oldest of Jeanette's three older brothers, said that their mother was constantly volatile when they were growing up. You were always walking on eggshells. Is it going to be nice mom or crazy mom today, he said. One day she'd be fine, the next day she'd be yelling at everyone. Every holiday was super over dramatic. She'd lose her mind on Christmas if something wasn't perfect. Yeah, she's a borderliner, right? Borderline, and this is what the borderline does. The borderline exploits their children, especially their daughters, for fame and fortune or for whatever else they can benefit off of it. Friends and colleagues from Jeanette McCurdy's time as a child actor said they couldn't sense the tension in her relationship with her mother, even if they did not yet know the exact details. Oh, they could. I'm sorry. They could sense the tension in her relationship with her mother, even if they didn't know the exact details. Jeanette can be outgoing, very forward and bright and electric, said David Archuleta, pop singer and American Idol finalist. I could also tell she was very guarded, very protective of her mom, and they were very close. Archuleta, whose career was closely controlled by his father when he was a minor, said such arrangements can be destructive for children. Because you're always with that parent. They don't really let you around anyone else, Archuleta said. You don't look at it as a control thing. You look at it as, oh, they're looking out for me. And they may make you feel like everyone is against you. Over time, Archuleta added, the parent may turn toxic. It gets to where it's like you can't make any decisions on your own. You can't do anything on your own. You're too dumb. No, they didn't become toxic, Adam. They always were toxic. That's why they're that's why they are pushing you in these industries and allowing you to be exploited in the first place. They were always toxic. Always toxic. The border and these are industries riddled with borderline personality disorder. Hollywood, music, politics, military, riddled with borderline personality disorder. They don't become toxic, they were toxic. Miranda Cosgrove, the star of iCarly, said that she thought she and McCurdy quickly became close on the show. She was initially unaware of many difficulties her friend was facing, which McCurdy only revealed as they became older. When you're young, you're on your own. When you're young, you're so in your own head, Cosgrove said. You can't imagine that people around you are having much harder struggles. In a softer voice, Cosgrove added, you don't expect things like that from a person in the room who's making everyone laugh. For McCurdy, opening up about herself to the wider world has been a long-term process. In her late teens and early 20s, she wrote essays for the Wall Street Journal that shared some of her insights into child stardom. But today she feels she was not fully candid. If I had been truthful at the time, she explained, I would have said, yeah, I wrote this. And then I went and made myself throw up for 4 minutes afterwards. A few years ago, McCurdy started writing a new series of personal essays, including several about her mother, and shared them with her manager at the time. My manager sent me back a nice email that said, this is great. I really don't know what to do with this. I'll never forget the XOXO at the end. McCurdy never worked with that manager. I'm sorry, McCurdy no longer works with that manager, as she shouldn't. Most people don't, okay? Especially now. Because what a book like that and what stories like ours is a mirror for everybody. And they don't want to have to face the sociopath in their own life. And people like her mother is what keeps all of Hollywood together. It's the glue. It's the bond. They're not going to go out and expose that. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Without borderline personality disorder and these sociopaths, Hollywood collapses. Instead, she began performing a one-woman show, also called I'm Glad My Mom Died, in Los Angeles. Though the pandemic impeded plans to take the show on the road, McCurdy used some of her own downtime to craft a memoir. I really wanted to build it out a lot more, get more into the childhood aspect of the story, and work through the arc in a way only you can with a book, she explains. Marcus McCurdy said he supported his sister's decision to write her memoir. Even calling it I'm Glad My Mom Died has caused some consternation in the family. Our grandmother is very upset about that title, Marcus said, adding that he and his sister share a similar sense of humor. It's more of a coping mechanism, he said. You can either be like, woe is me, my life is horrible, or you can find the humor in these things that are really tragic. Arch Gillette also said it was empowering for McCurdy to write her book. It's given her back some of her strength or confidence, he said. McCurdy is writing another set of essays about coming into her own in her 20s, as well as a novel. Its protagonist, she said, is either who I wish I could be in some aspects, or I hope I never am in other aspects. But it's probably me, right? Aside from a few watch parties that her family held for early episodic TV work, McCurdy told me, I've never seen any of the shows that I've been on. For her, these were fraught documents of her suffering and unwelcome reminders of the helplessness she felt at the time. A few years ago, after the cancellation of her Netflix series, McCurdy decided to take a break from acting. As she writes in the memoir, I wanted my life to be in my hands, not an eating disorder or a casting director's or an agent's or my mom's, mine. She did not take part in a recent revival of iCarly on Paramount Plus. But McCurdy said that her experience with her one-woman show has shown her there are many ways that performance could be constructive for her in the future. It felt significant in repairing some of the really weighted, complicated relationships that I had with acting, she said. It felt like I'm saying my words, I'm saying things I really want to be saying. On myself. Though McCurdy can still find it uncomfortable to reflect on her past, it also makes her more hopeful to focus on the present and to see the friends and colleagues who are part of her life because she's alone and chose for them to be in it. Exactly. You choose your own circle. You balkanize. You get away. Okay? And you don't. Narcissists. Listen, death doesn't absolve the narcissist. It doesn't. I have people around me now that are so supportive and so loving, she said. It makes me tearful with joy. I feel so safe. I feel so much trust, and so much openness. Is that the end? Yep, that's the end. Written by David Isikoff. It's not really well written, I'll tell you that. Look, we've talked about this. I mean, I've brought up Nickelodeon. I've brought up those shows. I've brought up... It's all grooming. It's grooming. It's grooming. There are no fathers. There are no full families. These kids are over-sexualized. They're over-sexualized on the show, and they're over-sexualized by the people working on the show and their own parents. Her mother was a borderline monster. That's what she was. The industry didn't make her toxic. They were toxic before they got there. The borderline doesn't need to learn to become toxic. They already were. Period. And her story, okay, popular Hollywood actress, had everything going for her. She had money, okay? And here's her mother still flipping out, walking on eggshells. I mean, all the descriptions are all things I've said and all things that have been discussed on this channel for 8 years now. The walking on eggshells, the rage out, the histrionics, okay, the ruining of fucking holidays. It's all here. That's what I'm telling you. This problem isn't racial. It isn't socioeconomic. It doesn't matter if you're rich, if you're poor, where you live. The behaviors are all the same and the damage is all the same, no matter what. No matter who you are. Her story is no different than any of our stories. You know it now because she was popular, she was pretty, and ended up in the New York Times. That's the only reason you know about it. On one end, I'm about keeping the nuclear family together. On the other end, once you realize that they're fucking toxic narcissists, they gotta go. The borderline doesn't need to learn to become toxic. They already are. So, thank you, Tanya, for the contribution and the article. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions in the comment section below. And if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like me to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the Zelle, PayPal, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Refuge from Narcissism. Take care.